What if I told you that one of history's greatest leaders was once considered finished? Not just doubted, not just criticized, finished, publicly humiliated, blamed for disaster, mocked by his opponents, ignored for years. And yet, when the world stood on the edge of collapse, the same man everyone had written off became the one voice people could not live without. This is not just the story of Winston Churchill. This is the story of what happens when failure does not destroy you, but prepares you. And by the end of this video, you may never look at your own setbacks the same way again. Before the comeback, there was chaos. Today, people remember Winston Churchill as the bulldog of Britain, the man with the cigar, the voice that stood against tyranny, the symbol of courage during World War II. But that image hides a truth most people forget. Churchill did not rise in a straight line. His life was full of career mistakes, public embarrassment, political exile, and moments when even his supporters thought he was done. In fact, long before he became Prime Minister, Churchill had already built a reputation for being brilliant, but also reckless. He was ambitious, bold, intelligent, but often controversial. And sometimes, those traits made him look less like a future hero, and more like a man headed for collapse. That is the first lesson. The same traits that later make you exceptional can first make you misunderstood. Many people quit because their strength is not immediately rewarded. Churchill didn't. The failure that nearly destroyed him. If you want to understand Churchill's comeback, you must understand the disaster that almost buried him forever. During World War I, Churchill pushed for a military campaign known as the Gallipoli campaign, an attempt to strike the Ottoman Empire through the Dardanelles. The campaign became a catastrophe and Churchill was heavily blamed for it. The plan was bold. If it worked, it could change the war. But it failed. Badly. The operation turned into a disaster. Lives were lost. The mission collapsed. And Churchill became one of the main faces of the failure. Imagine that. You are ambitious. You believe in a bold idea. You push hard for it. And when it goes wrong, the whole nation remembers your name for the wrong reason. This was not a private mistake. This was a public humiliation. Critics attacked him. His political standing collapsed. His reputation was damaged. For many people, that would have been the end. And honestly, for a while, it almost was. Churchill resigned from government and even served on the Western Front before returning to politics later, a remarkable turn after the Gallipoli fallout. That matters. Because when life breaks your image, you find out whether your identity was built on applause or on purpose. Churchill could have spent the rest of his life defending himself. Instead, he kept moving. When the world finally needed him. Then came 1939. Britain declared war on Germany, and Churchill was brought back to lead the Admiralty. The famous signal sent to the fleet reportedly said, "Winston is back." That line says everything. Not because he had suddenly changed overnight, but because the world had finally changed enough to understand why he mattered. A year later, in 1940, as Britain faced one of the darkest moments in its history, Churchill became Prime Minister. Think about that. The man once blamed for disaster. The man many considered too extreme. The man who spent years being ignored. Became the man chosen to lead a nation through war. Why? Because adversity had done something for him that comfort never could. It had sharpened him. Failure had taught him how to endure pressure, how to speak when afraid, how to stand alone, and how to carry responsibility when the cost was unbearable. When Churchill told Britain they had nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat, he wasn't speaking like a man who had only known success. He was speaking like a man forged by setbacks. That is why his words carried weight. Because real authority is not just built by titles. It is built by scars. Sometimes your setback is not punishment. Sometimes it is training. Life lessons explained. 1. Public failure is not the end. Churchill was blamed, mocked, and sidelined. Yet his biggest humiliation became part of his preparation. Your embarrassing chapter may be building your strongest season. 2. The quiet years matter. Before the world needed Churchill, he spent years being ignored. Those were not wasted years. They were hidden years. If your progress feels invisible right now, keep building. 3. Being early often looks like being wrong. Churchill warned about danger when others wanted comfort. Many people reject truth when it arrives before they are emotionally ready for it. Do not let temporary rejection make you betray your conviction. 4. Hardship gives your voice weight. Churchill's speeches mattered because his life had tested him. People listen differently when your words come from experience. Pain, if used correctly, can become authority. 5. Comebacks are a habit. Churchill didn't recover once. He recovered again and again. That means resilience is not a single moment. It is a mindset. Winston Churchill's story is not powerful because he was perfect. It is powerful because he was not. He was flawed, controversial, rejected, humiliated, written off, and still, he came back. Not because the road was easy. Not because people believed in him. Not because the world gave him permission. But because he refused to let failure become his final identity. So if you are in a season where nobody notices your effort, your last attempt failed, people have already judged you, and it feels like your best chance is gone, remember this. History has a strange habit of using the people others underestimate. Sometimes the person being ignored today is the one the future is preparing for tomorrow. And maybe the chapter you call your downfall is actually the beginning of your comeback. If Churchill could return from public failure, from humiliation, from being counted out, then maybe your story is not over either. Maybe it is just getting to the part that matters most. Subscribe the channel and turn on notification for world best lessons you were never taught in school. Share with friends, help them learn these lessons.